So I shot the bulk of this video previously for a medium format rant, but I thought the tutorial was useful enough that it should stand on its own in a separate video in case you just wanted to watch that part. In a nutshell, you can turn GFX files into X2D files and vice versa. You could also turn Leica SL3 to Sony a7R5 files and vice versa using this technique. These linear profiles are extremely powerful, and the guy that makes them, Tony Kuyper, is into it clearly because he makes these profiles for pretty much every camera on the market that you would want a profile like this for. So with that, here's the tutorial. Okay, so you go to this website by Tony Kuyper Photo, not sure how to pronounce it, but he's great. It's goodlight.us/linear-profiles.html. And he has this really nice explanation talking about shooting in manual and that each profile he's made is camera specific. So it will only work for your camera if it's in the repository. You can make your own, but I think Tony's done such a good job, he's basically done it for you. So then you click here to jump to camera specific linear profile downloads, and it goes to all these different cameras. He's got everything from Canon to DJI to Fuji to some, cell phones to Phase 1, Leaf Aptus. But for me, at least, importantly, Leica, Sony, Hasselblad, Fuji, Canon, the ones that, us photographers use. And he keeps this list very up to date. As you can see here, he's got the X-T50, he's got the X106, he's got the 100S Mark II, he's got the GFX 100, 102, just, any new camera you could want. He's got the Leica SL3 on here. He has the IQ 150 here for Phase 1. And then, of course, for Hasselblad, he's got the X2D. And so just to show you here, you click on whatever camera you want, right? And then, so you have to, there's a button you got to click. I agree to the terms. And then, you go to the profile you want. It adds to the cart here. I'm going to add a couple that I don't have. You hit checkout, and then you go through the checkout process. I cut this part out because I'm not giving out my information, but it's free. And then you have these guys on here. So then you go into your email here. I use Gmail, and you can see you can download these profiles. I have them go right to my download folder. And then you get 5 attempts to download it. You hit download. And then you go to Lightroom, Adobe Lightroom. This works in Adobe Classic also, but I'm just going to use it here because this is going to be a little easier to show, but it works the exact same way. So you go up here to File, you go to Import Profiles and Presets, and then boom, there are all your different presets. I already downloaded the GFX S2 and the X2D, so I'm going to to show you, I'm going to put in the X106, the GFX 100 Mark II, and then you hit, so I had this in my downloads folder, but wherever your downloads go, that's where you do, click on them, you hit import. It takes a second, tells you it's done, and that's it, okay? Now, just to show you how this works, I'm going to take 2 files of a beautiful model, put them into Lightroom, add 2 photos. Okay, so if you look at Get Info, you can see this is the GFX 100, and then next to it here is the Hasselblad. If you ask me, the Hasselblad right now looks nicer. The color is a little bit richer, a little more accurate, I would say. I might need to control for exposure a little bit here. The GFX 100 is a little underexposed, but as you can see here, pretty similar settings, 55mm, 1/80th of a second at f2.8, ISO 800, And then here, 55 millimeters a second, 1/90th a second, f2.8, ISO 800. Kind of interesting that the Hasselblad seems to have done a better job with the exposure than the Fuji here. And to my eye, the Fuji is like a little too red in here. This blue is a little too dark. And I'll fix the exposure, but I just want to show you the raw without touching anything, okay? So then you go here, you click on these, or you can go into the here, but I think it's easier to do it this way. You click right here where it says profile, these 4 squares. And now when you scroll down, there's a section and there's the TED 4 presets. Nice job, Ted. There's something called profiles. And you'll see there's a linear profile for the Fuji. And immediately you put it on the Fuji and you see that horrible red disappeared. Hit the darkness of the color of the shirt has disappeared, and all of a sudden it looks pretty darn accurate, but flat and a little dark, right? And so, here's the Hasselblad without it, and just to compare, there's the GFX with the linear. And then same thing here, I can put the Hasselblad linear profile on there, and you can see the difference here. So I put it on, and now they look awfully similar, don't they? So now I can, fix that exposure a little bit, add a little saturation, maybe cool it off a little bit there. Same thing here. Exposure was good on this one, add a little saturation. And, I think you would be really hard pressed once you finish tweaking these, to tell the difference between the two, honestly. It's pretty amazing. I'll put them side by side here. All of a sudden, the GFX is maybe even looking a little better, so I can see if I can fix this a little bit. So yeah, I mean, these photos are basically identical now, right? I mean, minor things, just pretty incredible here. So I think this is totally a game changer. This makes the GFX so much of a better camera, so much more of a commercially viable tool, and it makes it so that the playing field is very level between the Hasselblad and the GFX. It means that you can spend $2,000 on a 20-35 rather than $6,000. So exciting stuff here, I think. I do still think the Hasselblad lenses render a little bit more nicely. But I don't know if I would say it's 3 times more nicely, especially with what you can do in post here. It's just really pretty dope what you can do. So yeah, another interesting thing I noticed here is that, because Lightroom is putting on distortion correction, you have to turn that off with Fuji. So yes, if you turn off distortion correction with Fuji, you get a much nicer rendering. But I do still think that the Hasselblad has a slightly nicer lens rendering, but is it 3 times nicer? I don't know. They look so similar. It's just, look at this, they're so similar. So yeah, I do think the Hasselblad still has a slightly nicer rendering, but it is so freaking close. That no one would notice, and if you're printing, you wouldn't notice. I just don't know if it's worth the money when you apply these profiles. So I have a few more things to test, including the whole tilt shift deal. But I wanted to share this because I thought this was a pretty exciting find. Big thanks to Tony Kuyper, and now back to the video. Just for funsies, I applied this to a few more files. Can you tell which one is camera A and which one is camera B? Camera A was the Leica SL3. Camera B was the Sony a7R5. Could you tell the difference? Could you tell which camera is which? I don't think I really could. So this is an interesting outcome, right? This means that, if you use this technique and you edit using this technique regularly, the whole color science part of digital photography is basically removed. Image quality, in large part, is largely removed from the conversation with the most recent digital cameras. You can get an XH2 to look like a Canon R5. You can get like a SL3 to look like a Sony a7R5. You can get a Hasselblad to look like a GFX. If the sensor size and cameras are similar, you can basically level the playing field with this, so that you can really focus when making a camera buying decision on what camera you like to use. Do you like the interface? Do you like the ergonomics? Do you like the overall user experience? So could you tell these files apart? Have you used linear profiles before? What did you think? Are you using them now? I wish you had told me if you had, because I would like to have found this about a year ago. Saved me a lot of time, a lot of pain. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.